it to me. All right, so we'll go ahead
Okay.
and start here. This is a program that Epic has put together, List and Lock. It's basically a way for you to advertise a discounted rate on your listings. Okay, so you have a, you get your property, you may have a listing appointment. This is something you'd want to talk about as well when you go to a listing appointment. Okay, this is going to give you another item that you can talk about that someone else who you may be competing with for that listing isn't going to be able to speak to. Okay. This is a way for, this is basically a way for you to give that seller of that home an advantage that the builders are using right now to market their homes. Okay. Typically, a lot of the builders right now are marketing their new homes with lower interest rates. And how is that happening? How are they able to offer a different rate than what we would be? Well, it's because that seller, the builder, is buying it down, right? They're buying that rate down. So we're offering kind of the same thing to the individual seller. Okay, that you as a seller, instead of dropping your price or listing it way low because you want to move it, is that you can set your price at more of the market price and be able to advertise a rate that's going to bring more potential buyers to look at this property. Okay, so what do you want? Basically two things you're trying to do, right? Get top dollar for the property, or I guess three things: sell it quickly, and how do you sell it more quickly? Bring more buyers in, right? More people that are shopping your home, more chance that someone's going to put an offer in, more chance of multiple offers as well. All right. And how are we doing that? So how are they able to do this? Well, it's basically a concession. Okay. It's a concession they're agreeing to do. And they're going to use that concession to buy this rate or lock this rate up front. Okay. So they lock once they look at it, they like the idea. They see they see the value of how this is going to help them move the property faster by being able to offer something nobody else is able to offer. Okay.
How much does that cost the seller to do that?
So it all depends, and we'll get to that, what the price of the home is, right? It's all going to be based on the price of the home and what option they choose. And we'll talk about that right now. So a lot of times sellers are offering concessions, but unlike discount points, the rate can be advertised on your listing site. Okay. So even if your seller is saying, hey, I'll give 2 points. Okay. To 2%, right? 2 points. So really say, I'm gonna get 2% of my sell price for whatever. All right. You can't advertise a lower rate for that property because you're offering 2% concessions. But one thing, you don't know what the rate's going to be, right? You don't know what lender they're going to use. So you can't do that. Where with this program, you're taking that concession and you're buying that rate, locking that rate up front. Okay. Up front. That's the key. So by doing so, then they can advertise the rate for that property. All right. And that's going to be a lot more attractive than just concessions. Concessions is pretty much, everybody offers some concessions. People might want it for their closing costs, whatever, but that's not really bringing people in because it's almost like an expectation, right? They're already expecting to get it, right? It's like going into Circle K and getting the 99-cent big gulp, right? People now, they do it so much that people expect to get the 99-cent right up front. It's not really bringing any more buyers in, right? Because it becomes an expectation. So how would you you could go into your listing appointment, okay, and you can talk to them about this program. Okay, you can also do this with a listing you already have. So if you already have a listing, it's not really moving. Maybe you didn't know about the program at the time, or maybe the client wasn't interested at the time, right? They didn't really want to listen to it. But now the property's not moving. So now you got to have that conversation. What conversation? I need you to drop the price. So I know, Sherry, you've had to go through that not too long ago, right? when you have that conversation, it's not a comfortable conversation because sellers never want to drop their price, right? But they're still mad that the property isn't moving. This is an opportunity now to speak again to this product. Say, hey, I don't know if you remember if you had already presented it once, but would you be interested, instead of dropping, we need to do something here. Instead of dropping the price, what if we advertise a lower interest rate to bring more people in? Okay, that's a conversation you can have with them, right? And then you go in again, you're purchasing a 60-day lock. Okay, this is going to be locked for 60 days. It can be extended. There's additional cost for that if it would go over in that. But the idea is you're trying to sell this quick, right? And then you market the house with a discounted rate. Okay, so you can attract more buyers, sell faster, right? That's the idea. So this is what it kind of looks like. All right. So, and I'm going to go into a real web page here, but this is an example of what it would look like. What your sellers get when they do this. Well, first of all, there's a cost up front to do this program. So they want to go with this program. They're going to pay a lock fee of $999. All right. Okay. This specific example is the $600,000 purchase price. The concessions going to be 2%. So the seller concession on this is $8,000. I believe it was based on the $600,000 purchase price, if I remember correctly. But this is for example purposes. They don't pay the $8,000 right now. Okay. They would only give that concession if the client closes with us on this and takes this lock that their client's offering. They don't go with us or they stay with their other lender, they're not going to get this discounted rate, right? Because that's something that it's a product that we have. So your seller would be under no obligation to pay that or give that concession. They could if they wanted to, but they would be under no obligation to do so. So their only cost, though, would have been $999. The client does come back to us. We credit this $999 back, which they can use for their concession. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So now in this, go ahead. Yeah.
So the question I have is, when it gets locked in, is it getting locked in whatever that current interest rate is, or are you getting locked into 2% lower? Like what is the interest?
The seller is buying this rate now, okay, with their concessions. This is
So
why
how
you're going to
far
get
down.
So for example, in this specific, not only are they buying it down, we as a lender are contributing 1%. So as long as the seller is paying at least 1% to discount the rate, we're going to contribute 1% as well.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not all, and that's a good point to mention to your seller is, hey, it's not just you. We're actually as a lender are going to contribute to it. Okay.
Okay.
So in this case, where they're paying 2% to buy this rate down, we're really throwing one in there. So we're really paying, there's really like 3% going to 3 points going towards buying this thing down. Okay. So in this case, they're doing 2%. So this might not be accurate today because when this example was done, rates may have been different. But for example, their new rate would be 5.125, right? Okay, so that's what you're able to advertise. It's costing this much at closing. It's costing this much up front. And along with all of that, they are also getting marketing materials, etc. So what you would do is you'd walk them through what would the cost be. Okay, so on our webpage, so what you're going to do is I'm going to share something with you here, and then we'll come back to this. What this would really look like. So if you really were with a client, now you can pull any of us in. So for example, Sherry, you call me and say, Chuck, I want you to talk. I'm at my appointment. I'd like at 3 o'clock. Would you be available between 3 and 3:30? If I call you and kind of help explain this program, if you weren't real comfortable, right? I can do that. Or any of my loan officers could do that if anybody's on here that's working with one of them. So what I'm going to show you here is this is a real, I'm gonna slide it over here. Can you see this real quick? Could you see that I just put in here? The web page? Okay. So
Yes.
everybody see this? Okay. So this is my web page. And what you would do is you could go to my webpage, and all you gotta do is type in my site, Chuck Biggs, and this is gonna pop up. So as long as you have internet access. And what you would do is you'd go over here, there's a lot of things in here, but really all you want to care about is where it says purchase, okay? And it's got some different options in here, but the one you're looking at is list and lock, right? That's the name of the program, list and lock, right? So you just click on that. And what you would get is a little bit about the program, different steps, guide, real estate, right? You know, all the things that are going to be offered with it, a lock certificate, open house flyers, images to share on MLS. That's important. Custom property video if you so desire, real estate sign writers, right? You're trying to drive activity to that property. So how are you doing that? Hey, a sign writer would be great. Someone's driving by and they look, what, 5.75? What? They're going to take a second look at that, right? Those rates
So-
aren't available.
So let me just ask you, so if that is, the rate is bought down, and let's just say it's 5%, whatever that is, does that stay like that for the length of the term of the mortgage for the buyer?
Yes, it's a permanent
Okay.
lock. It's a permanent rate buy
It's a
down.
permanent rate, okay.
But remember, for the seller, they have a 60-day window to get that house sold and closed. Okay, they can
Okay.
extend it, but there'd be an additional cost to do that.
Sure,
Now, if it hasn't sold yet,
okay,
they could always, I believe, obviously the lock's going to expire, and you could probably relock again. But I got to find out. I need to actually. Raises a good question on what the options are besides extension. I know you can extend it. You also
Okay.
get a free float down. Okay. So, and I'll talk about this in a minute. Let's walk through this, and I'll get back to how the float down works and why, when you lock this rate in, it can protect you against other market conditions. Okay. All right. So here we are. You're in this screen. You're talking a little bit about the low things you can do, and your buyer saying, you know what, this is pretty interesting. You can play a little video for them if you want. So let's get started. Let's see what it would. What's it going to cost me? All right. So you're going to go in here and you're going to fill in an address. I don't know. Anybody got an address you want to throw at me? We could do a live example of what it would look
Great.
like.
Could throw you Paulette's.
We can put that in. Let's put it in just for example purposes. What's the address, if you don't mind?
9302 East Broadway Road. It's 157 is the number.
Okay, so you plug that in. Okay.
Okay,
You can also put your MLS number in there, I believe, as well. But
okay,
all right, and then you just hit. It talks a little bit how it's going to work too. First, you're going to determine what kind of concessions are we going to offer. So you get
Okay.
started. You hit the property in, and this is where it's going to say, well, what do you want to offer? 1 to 3%. Those are your options the seller has. So let's just say, well, I don't want to do 3, but you know, I'd be interested. I think I can do 2. Okay. What's the sale price?
212,500.
212, 500.
500.
Yep. All right. We're going to pretend it's a regular house just for kicks and giggles, so we don't have to mess with.
It says, oh, you don't want to click the manufacturer.
No, only because technically this property is not going to be eligible anyway because it's a leasehold. But so we just want to do it just to. Okay. So if they do 2%, the seller is going to be able to market as low as 6.125. That's what you could be on your side. Okay. For that property.
Well, so if they're doing that personally, and then you kick in 1%, does that make it 3%?
No, that's already built into this.
Oh, it's already built in.
Okay. So here's what you're going to see here, because this program can be used on conventional FHA, VA, ARMs, and our all-in-one loan. Okay. So this is just examples here of of different things, because depending, you don't know what, you're locking a rate ahead of having a buyer, right?
Right.
You don't know in reality how much they're gonna put down, right? You don't know what their credit score is. So you say, well, how do I lock it? Well, you're locking a big window, right? And in that window is everybody, right? All these different ratios. So depending on where the person falls, that's what their rate would be, but it's still being bought down from what it would be before. Because if you have a 680 FICO, right, your rate without any buy downs is going to be much higher than someone that's at 780.
Okay.
So they're still going to get the benefit of it just as much as someone else, even though their base rate their rate will be higher than someone with good credit, just like it would if they didn't take any concessions, right? Still moving down the ladder though.
Right.
And that's where it gives samples. But this is what you'd be advertising. So what would that cost? It's only costing them $4,200. Now, remember the house price was like $212,000, right? So it's not that expensive because the house isn't that expensive. But let's say this is a good example. House isn't moving, right? Fortunately, right? So what you could do is you go back there. But remember we talked about this list and lock program. You know what? I don't know, maybe. All right, let me tell you again. Let me remind you. We have a couple options here. We're not getting any activity. So we can either drop this price, okay? Or we could try advertising a lower interest rate. Now, even at $212,000, if you drop the price $4,200, are you really going to get much activity? Probably not, right?
No, I think that's very appealing to offer that buy down rate.
Yes. And you can offer it right up front in MLS, in any of your social media, your flyers, you name it. So now if a person decides to move forward with that, and we can't go much further here, but you'd say purchase a 60-day lock. Client says, yeah, I'm in. And then they would go here, they'd hit that box, they'd fill all this out. Okay. Agent information goes in here because this is going to help with your marketing as well, right?
Yeah.
Listing status, list to blah, blah, blah. And then that's where we need to end because now you got to pay for it. And this is just an example. So I'll switch back to where we were at. So we've gone through this process. Client is moving forward. Okay, we kind of walk through this in real time here. We choose, and so we'll just pass through these because we did it on a we did it live. So this is the part that happens after you get to that point. I want to move forward. You're going to fill all that information out. You're going to sign the DocuSign. And then you're going to make your payment. Boom, confirmed. You're locked. You're ready to go. And now you can start working on putting your marketing pieces together. It's going to generate all this for you. Okay. You just got to upload your pictures. You can download your certificate that says this is, that's, and there's a couple things here that's just for MLS. So for the agent only, right? Some disclosures. And you can just copy it and paste it right in there. It's like, for example, even on the purchase contract, right? Here is what you can copy to put in the purchase contract. Okay.
So now, so the $999 I get, that's up front. The 42, right. Let's just say, keeping with this scenario, the $4,200 is at closing.
Correct. Just like a normal concession would be. So just like a normal concession.
So then when it goes through title takes the $4,200, right?
Right. Yep. Okay. Just like they would if you were using it for closing costs or whatever, just like any concession. So they're basically taking it out of the sale price. So there's no money passing out of the client's hands.
So right? Technically in this scenario, it's $5,200 that they overall have to come up with, that extra, right? By the end.
Oh, no, because they're going to get the $999 back.
Oh, I gotcha. At closing, they're going to get that. They're going to
at closing, they'll get that credited back. So it'll net back to that 42 only. So really, they're going to get that even though they upfront paid for it, now it's getting thrown back to them. The only time they wouldn't get it back is if the buyer decided to go with another
Oh.
lender. But then you wouldn't be
Oh,
paying the 42 either. Wouldn't be obligated to. Let's put it that way.
okay, I gotcha. All right, now it makes sense. I got
Makes
it.
sense.
Yes.
So, all right, good. All right, well, so
And you mentioned
these
the
are just
float.
examples of more collateral for you.
Okay.
You know, I think like this is a great sign writer right there. I mean, hanging from the sign, and you know, their
Oh,
little,
yeah.
you know, they can put their phone on that icon to learn more about it. You know, just
Oh,
get out of the car, snap. So yeah, this is really, you know, just gives a lot of material for you to really push that property and get this thing sold, right? So, you know, like one of these quotes, this is from Housing Wire, and Housing Wire is, you know, great on real estate and mortgage news, you know. And it's what this guy said, I call this rate lock risk, where some buyers don't qualify or don't want to continue the purchase until rates fall again. Rates spiking a lot in mere weeks is damaging because it can cause some previous buyers to fall out. So what an example is, so when you're locking that rate in, if rates go up, you've locked the lower rates even better than what it would have been. That also protects, because you know what happens, you know, you go to put a property and all of a sudden rates shoot up and now all of a sudden there's no activity, right? And you're like, but how would you predict that, right? How is the buyer going to know that? Or the seller going to know that? How are you as an agent even going to know that's going to happen? Boom, it happens. If they've already locked that rate in, you still have it. Let's say it goes the other direction. Rates actually improve. Now you've locked this higher rate, right? I mean, it's still going to be lower unless rates really plunge, but they get a free float down. Okay, so you get near closing and rates are actually lower than what they were when you originally locked the loan, right? You can drop it to whatever that new market rate is, and then of course what it would buy down from there based on that. So you got protection
Oh,
if rates go down, and you're
very
definitely
nice.
protected if rates go up.
Got it.
Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so I guess we've kind of, you know, it's just been you and I mostly on this.
Yeah.
Uh, pretty easy to use. You know, I can jump in anytime to help you with a client on it, that help them
Okay.
understand it. But if they compare the cost of the concession versus the cost to drop the price or
Sure.
price it where they can move it faster, this is going to end up being cheaper.
Oh, absolutely. And it's more attractive, to be honest.
Yeah, it
'Cause-
definitely will get buyers excited, right?
Yes.
You know, when you drop the price, that just makes people think, oh, I can't sell it, so I'm gonna
Yes.
even ask less, right? I mean,
Exactly.
where in this case, you're advertising this lower rate, they're like, wow, hey, that
Well, right, because that's the whole problem as to why the demand for buyers are so low because of the high interest rates. And this certainly is something that can be more drawing into people like, oh my gosh, I could get a 5%. You know, obviously it's based on their credit, you know, if
credit
they
in
have
the market,
higher
whatever the
credit.
going rate is then. So
Right.
in this example, it was low fives. I don't think you're going to get there now. Well, maybe if they did 3%, you'd get in the high
Right.
fives probably, but
Yeah, but still, yeah.
still,
I
it's
get-
way below where they're at now, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you get anything in the
Makes a
fives or low
difference
sixes.
in
Yeah.
your payments between in the high fives to wherever it is at 7.
Yeah. And not to mention, it just catches their eye, right? I mean,
Hmm.
wow, because they're not seeing that. So,
Yes. No, that is good. I like
so
that.
it's a great way to get build up some activity. All right. Well, Sherry, if you have any more questions on it
All
or
right.
anyone else, let me know.
Sounds
Otherwise,
good.
we're good to go. And I'm going to send you I have a fact sheet. This is a black and white version. I'll send you a nice, prettier one. It has some potential questions. For example, here's what I'm going to send you. Okay. This is something you could put in your listing
Oh,
package
okay.
as well. And it's got question, answer. So it kind of helps explain some of the things that
Okay.
people may have, right?
Yeah.
That you won't, you wouldn't, know, or you may not know, or sometimes questions just pop up. So if you're leaving it in a listing package and the client's just trying, oh, let me think this through, this will give them some things to think about as well. Plus it's got, they can go to my website on it as well if they want to play around as,
Okay,
kind of fill it out. So,
sounds good.
all right.
Thank you.
Sounds really good. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Don't
later.
forget to send me the link from the 11 o'clock.
Yes, once she sends it to me, I'll get it to you.
Good, all right, talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.